two of the greatest NRL fantasy players to have ever played the game, Nicho Hynes versus Nathan Cleary. Now, let's just hammer home the fact that we're talking NRL fantasy right now. We talked a bit about these guys last week, and Biz, I know we had some strong opinions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were one of the only sources probably last week saying get Hynes in. People were worried about his calf injury and the bye coming up for him next week. Hynes come out, doesn't look like he's missed any time. He's put up 98 points straight away without scoring a try. And now he's up above the 1 million mark. It is even tougher to get him in now. You're not getting him at a discount. He's got the Warriors this week as well. Look, great week for both of them. Nathan with 80 points of his own after a lot of people might have dropped him after his bye and a slow start. You're laughing if you had either of them last week, and you probably ranked right up there if you had both. So both great players. Which one? Oh, that's what we're here to debate.
Well, let's talk about that Hynes performance first, because the stat line's crazy. Like you mentioned, 98 points with no try. People might say, oh, that was only a big game because of attacking stats. Right, well, let's look at that. So try assists, he had 3. He had 10 line break assists. That's 25 points. If you took out all his attacking stats there, he's still at 73 points. I'm not going to take goal kicking out because that's something he's doing every week. But the highlights here are things like 4 offloads, 16 points. He's going to create those offloads. Things like 148 meters run. The downer there, though, is the kick meters. So 257 kick meters. Is it just a matter of that game not flowing in the right way for kick meters, Biz, or is that something you'd be worried about?
Nah, not worried at all. Like that is just total game script. There's no one else to take kick meters away from him. Brayley's not a noted kicker. Moylan's hamstrings won't let him put a kick up. And I don't think I've seen Kennedy kick the ball island for rubbers here and there. So Hynes, he's similar to Shaun Johnson's type. He's just going to hog all the kick meters. They were breaking the line at will against the Dragons off the back of a lot of great slick Hynes play. So I think it's pure game script. Wouldn't be surprised if he comes out this week and kicks 500 plus, to be honest. Warriors looking pretty resilient this year, so I think it's a bit more of a grind. And, wouldn't be worried whatsoever. And it just goes to show that he can go even further up. Like, imagine he scored a try, which he could have easily scored a try in this game, and he had 400 plus kick meters. That's 125 plus. So it's ridiculous what he can do. And he's apparently come off a 6-week calf injury, so pretty crazy numbers.
You also missed the last 10 minutes of the game. So
yeah, true. Jesus Christ. He was, honestly, I was at a mate's farewell who's moving overseas, and I was just kind of watching it at the pub in the background, and I had 6 or 7 messages, and all of them were just Hynes beating the clock every 5 minutes. And I was just thinking, I was tossing up to get Hynes or not. I went Shaun Johnson, but yeah, can't complain with Shaun Johnson's score either. But God, Hynes is amazing. He's built for fantasy.
Take a shot every time Hynes scores a fantasy point. You will die.
You'll be dead by like the 10th minute.
Legit. But look, Hynes is a monster. I mean, there's no critiquing him. Downsides for Hynes, I'm just going to throw a few of these in there. The buys. So he has the Warriors this week that we talked about, but then he's got a bye, round 6. He plays another 6 games after that. Some pretty good fixtures in that. And then he also has a bye in round 13. So you're looking at a bye very soon, and you're looking at 2 buys in the next 9 weeks. So that's a bit tricky. You throw in the calf issue as well. Didn't look to be hampering him at all. I don't think that's going to be a problem, but we've got to mention it. Is it a matter of waiting till after that round 13 bye, Biz, or do you think people could go as soon as round 7 on Hynes?
Honestly, if you told me you're getting him this week, I wouldn't tell you not to. Like, he's got a bye next week, but if he comes out and scores a 90 plus again, and you've got the captaincy on him, then so be it. I'm not saying I would do it. Like, I'm not looking to bring him in this week. I've got other priorities. Like, I'm trying to get a Hosking type in this week. But, look, I would not be waiting till round 13. I think you need to have a very clear plan how you're getting him in right after his bye. And what that looks like could be different for everyone. For me, thinking ahead, if all goes to plan, he'll be cashing out Cartwright. He'll probably lose his position to Lane around then. and then upgrading Eli Katoa, who's scoring 55 plus every week. He could probably do that all season, but if I can get him up to Hynes, who could probably score 75 plus all season, I think it's a no-brainer. Other options include, like, if you've got a player like Isaiah Papali, he's got to buy the week after. And look, to be honest, it's not going to be easy turning two mid-ranges into Hynes. If he's $1 million plus, you might need to sacrifice a gun. So you might need to keep a track of your guns and who's underperforming, who's about to lose cash. I usually wouldn't trade guns, but it's going to be one of the only real options to bring in Hynes for a lot of people. So a couple of the guys who are not doing as well there could be options to trade out to bring him in. But he needs to win your team as soon as he's done with this first buy.
Sacrificing a gun at the altar of Hynes. That could be the title of this video. Yeah, he is juicy. Probably doesn't play Origin either, which is a big plus. I want to frame this, though, a bit differently, because you're someone who has Cleary and you're trying to find a way to get Hynes as well. If there was someone out there who didn't have either Hynes or Cleary, my question is, should you prioritize Hynes as an option now at round 7, or should you be looking at Cleary instead? And the case I want to make here is for Cleary. So $878,000 he is right now. He's gone down in price a bit. I mean, let's talk through his games. He had that 61 score to start the year. He went 37 points after that in an absolute shocker against South, where he picked up an injury and he was a bit hampered. Had the bye week off, came back against Parramatta, scored 78 points. In that 78 points, there's a bit of attacking stats. When he had a try assist, a field goal. If we took attacking stats out of the game, he's still at 66 points. Still a fantastic performance. 631 kick meters, 131 run meters, next to no negatives. I think he's going to have to do a lot for the Panthers to be good this year. And if you look at his fixtures over the next 2 weeks, I think Cleary against the Raiders and the Seagulls is better than Hynes for one game. And then Khan Pereira or whoever you bring in from that 18th spot the following week.
Yeah, look, I don't like I'll play both sides of this, but you know what you say makes a lot of sense. The other thing I'd say is Cleary also had a 60-point game in the World Club Challenge where they were paying pretty much full strength and playing with full intensity as you would an NRL game, so you have to factor that in. So he's come and played 3 or 4 games where he's had this one big score against Parramatta, but even that game against Parramatta, I mean, I was following Cleary's score throughout the whole game, and he was only about 25 at halftime. So it's not like he went, tracking it a point a minute through the whole game like Hynes was. And the other thing with Hynes is he's come out, scored 98 this week, and he's played one more game this year, which was the All-Stars game, and he scored 80 points in that game as well. So he's come out and he's averaged about 90 across 2 games this year with an injury-plagued preseason and all sorts of off-field issues as well, as people would know. So it's a real difficult decision. And the thing is, Cleary is guaranteed to play Origin this year. Like, he'll play all 3 games if he's not injured. Hynes, I just don't think, after missing so much time to start the year, unless he just goes gangbusters like he did this week, every week till Origin, I don't think he gets there. So I think you can say that he's got to buy next week, but you'll probably have him for more games over the next 5 to 10 weeks. But look, yeah, I probably, if you don't have either, you're probably leaning more towards Cleary, but I think it's actually a closer coin flip kind of decision than you would think. Then, okay, Cleary's playing next week. Let's get him in. Because Cleary looks like, so like, take Cleary into account. Like, just look at Penrith. I don't think they've scored more than 18 points this year, really. Like, they're not looking like the same attacking juggernaut. The defense still looks excellent. So they can grind teams out and just rely on their defense, which for Cleary is a safe 60 with just kick meters, tackles, etc. But he doesn't look like he's going to rip the game open as of yet. Like, even like you said, his 83 was just kind of consistent stats rather than tries, offloads, tackle breaks. But Hynes and the Sharks, they've had a couple of games where they scored 30 plus already this year. One against the Eels where the Eels defended terribly, but albeit like Hynes is the type of player where he's not going to get much playmaking support. Guys like Brayley, they don't create too much, and Moylan is kind of a real side piece, and Kennedy's more of a finisher, whereas Luai is actually a very creative playmaking player at 6 and gets the ball quite a lot as well compared to what Hynes has to share. So I think Hynes is going to average more through the season for sure. Cleary over the next few rounds, absolutely, because he's not missing the game. But I think if you look at it over 10 rounds, I think Hynes is going to outscore Cleary for sure.
The charm with that is Hynes has that bye in round 13, the week that Cleary would be missing anyway. So, yeah, I think with Hynes, you want to have Hynes after round 13, 100%. Like there is no question about that. You probably want him before that as well. But I think it takes a little longer for those extra games to come in for Hynes. With Cleary, I'm looking at his fixtures here right now. Do you think easy fixtures play into his favor? Like for Hynes, obviously, you know what fixtures he's going to go off in, particularly those easy ones. With Cleary, I'm looking at these matches. I'm going, Raiders could be anything. I think he'll put on a show there. The Seagulls is nice because they're a bit of an attacking juggernaut and they don't play that much defense. So he's going to have to show up for that one. The Knights, he might take a back foot. That might be a Luai day. So I can see that risk there with Cleary where you don't know when he's going to go off. Whereas with Hynes, if he's got an easier matchup, which he has quite a few coming up, then you can sort of back him in as your captain. Yeah, it's a tough one. Like for me, I'm going to make a definitive statement on this. For me, if you can get one this week, get Cleary. If you can't get one this week, but you can next week, wait another week and go Hynes. That's how I'm going to draw the line there. And personally, I'm probably going to aim for Cleary this week.
Yeah, for sure. And based on those fixes, the other thing is I've been speaking up Hynes. I think Cleary is an absolute diamond in fantasy as well. Like if you're getting Cleary this week, and I've been hyping up Hynes, it's not that I'm not on Cleary. Like Cleary was my first pick this year once Hynes went down, and I want to have him as my captain for all of the next 3 weeks if he's playing. And this year, if you look at Cleary's fixtures, St. Helens, who are a great team in torrential rain, then he's come out and he's versed the Broncos in tricky conditions, and Broncos are arguably the number one team this year. He's then come out and played the Rabbits, who are one of the top 4 teams this year, who have also looked good. And then he's played Para in a grind fest. So he could easily come out and then do a Hynes-like performance over the next 3 weeks. And I'll just, in 3 weeks' time, both of these guys are just putting up 80 plus every week. You just need to get both. But look, I've got Cleary in my team. I just, as soon as Hynes is done with his bye, I'm getting him in. Like I said, make a plan. You're going to, to get a guy, to get either of these guys who are really expensive, it might be 2 weeks worth of trades that you'll have to think ahead. It might not just be as simple as 2 trades to get them. You might need 3 or 4. So start planning ahead. And fantasy, to do really well, when you're trying to get those, if you look at the players who are having those top 100, top 50 finishes, like Longy, the season you won, in the seasons where I've finished in the top 20, there are seasons where you have to plan out not just 1 or 2 weeks ahead, but sometimes they'll have draft trades written up for 5 weeks in advance, and they never happen to plan, right? People get injured, people get suspended, people just go to crap, but you just need to be thinking ahead, and especially for a guy like Hynes, it's going to cost you $1 million. Have a couple of those trades thought about, or have some backup plans as well.
No, you're absolutely right. You want the 18 best players in the competition when it comes to crunch time. And the year I won by getting Robbie Farah and Cameron Smith really early in the season. So everyone was screwing around with cash cows at hooker. I had those 2 guys. I was captaining Cameron Smith every week. They both went on a tear. I was in first place by round 12 and then just held on to first place from there out. So
yeah. And sorry to interrupt you, Longy. Just on that, that's a great point. I did the same thing. That year I started with Smith and Farah as well. And I think me and Longy might have spoken about it beforehand, potentially, when we were building our teams. But that, the exact same reason I finished in the top 15, not far off Longy when he won. So those are the kind of things that can make a big difference. But sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, no, it's all good. And let me clarify, I didn't start with them. I grabbed Farah after 1 or 2 rounds. So
okay, well, I started with both of them. Yeah, I started with
you were
both
ahead of me.
I wish I was ahead of you. The 25 grand would have been nice.
It was a good trip too. But look, this year, Hynes and Cleary, I think they're that Smith and Farah. And the halfback position is that spot. So if you can have those 2 guys and you can pick the right one as your captain, it looks like it's Hynes right now. But those guys are going to probably, between them, have a score over 80 points every single week. So you're going to gain a lot of points on everyone else who's I don't know, let's think about the other good captain options, right? Like people talk about Hopgood as a captain. He's got a 30 in him. People talk about, maybe getting it wrong with Harry Grant, who scored low 50s, Reece Robson. There's a lot of Payne Haas, there's a lot of other guys who might be a bit less reliable. So if these are the two guys who just dominate the league and you can get them early, could win you fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I drafted my first team without the news of Hynes being out, they were the first two picked. And the rest of my team looked garbage because of how expensive they were, but I was willing to make that sacrifice. And then I pivoted Hynes away to Dewey once he went down, thinking that Dewey would be the 6th for the season and average 60. But started well. Look, things don't always work out to plan. But yeah, this is a Cleary versus Hynes video. But I think both me and Longy are firmly in the camp that this is a discussion purposes only, and they're both brilliant, and get them both in as soon as you can.
Exactly right. That's our view on Cleary and Hynes. There's another video that we just released as well that goes through the cash cows, mid-ranges, and other guys that can make you cash. So if you're looking at the team right now and you're thinking, I don't have the money for either of these guys, what are Biz and Longy talking about? That video is the one that's going to help you get the money. So check that one out next, and we'll see you on the next fantasy video. Like, subscribe, comment. See you around.